Hello guys, welcome to another day with Zimaleta. In today's video we're going to be replacing the actuator for the turbo. This is what the actuator looks like. It's kind of facing like this and it basically controls the turbo. Obviously it's not very hard to replace it. There's just 3 bolts. One of them is longer. It's probably not in the appropriate spot, but either way, basically it's like a little metal thing that actually attaches to you, and you remove it and that's it. You know, it's pretty simple. And since I already have the C-clamp off this little thing, it should be pretty simple to try to replace. So let's go ahead and replace it and see if it's gonna work. Before I replace it, here's my thoughts, guys. I don't have my hopes up. I really don't feel that this wastegate, this electronic actuator is going to actually solve the problem, because I just tested the other turbo that I have inside, and that little lever thing that this actuator is trying to control, it's not really flimsy like it is on this one. So it's like, who knows? And it could be just the actual turbo, guys. That little piece, something's broken, you know. It's not broken completely, but it's broken enough to where it's causing an issue. But let's go ahead and replace it and see if that really does anything. So there you have it, guys. Here's the turbo actuator. This is the electronic portion that just kind of like plugs in over here. It is actually quite easy to remove it. Just you could just pry it with a screwdriver, but make sure you hold these little tabs to remove it. But we have obviously a little 10mm bolt here, there, and another one right there. You really can't see it. Looks like the top bolt, that's the longest bolt, due to the shape that it needs to actually go right through. But it's a pretty simple change, and yeah, like once I change it, there you go. There's you can see that level right there. It's let's see if you could really see it. Yeah, you could kind of see it, but that's where it is, right there. That's where the lever is. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace it. I'm not gonna replace it with me unbolting it, because it's just a real standard. Hey guys, before we begin, I do wanna tell you it's pretty important to wear like some kind of safety goggles, something like this, or safety glasses, because every time I go underneath there, guys, stuff is dropping in my eyes. It's really difficult to try to concentrate with that stuff happening. So anyways, I got my little tool here. I'm gonna go ahead and remove it. Guys, the last bolt, the longest one, it's proven to be troublesome. Does not want me to basically remove it for some reason. So I'm going to have to give myself some room, and I was hoping this is just going to be a simple plug and play, but obviously now I have to remove this air hose here. I'll try to give myself some room. It's got a sensor. You really don't need to unplug it. And I believe I'm gonna have to disconnect this here, which is the resonator. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the bolt in the bottom loose. I will also need to disconnect it from the actual leg, and I'm really hoping that I could actually remove the bolt from here, but I'll show you which one is actually being stuck. That little tiny thing, I need to actually remove it, and as you can see, everything is in my way. So I have to undo this bolt a little bit more. And the reason I'm showing you this, guys, you may have to do this yourself. Sorry you really can't see the bolts, but the one I'm actually removing it is for the Turbo Resonator. It sits right in front, and I just need to basically remove it just enough. Guys, when disassembling anything as printer, you always run into Okay, here's the Turbo Resonator in its glory. This is the part that normally goes bad and causes the turbo overboost condition. And this is basically a muffler for the turbo, so to make the turbo a little bit quieter. So now that this thing is out, it is time to see if I could get that other bolt loose. Okay guys, something to actually keep notice here. This turbo does not have any play in it. It's actually working pretty smoothly, like it's supposed to. So there's like no play like whatsoever, as you can see. So the only thing I gotta get loose is this bolt right here, and it's just not really allowing me to at this point. So let's see if I could convince the bolt to come out with a little bit of flame. I could actually feel things are heating up. Not really sure if this is going to help the situation or not, but I'm really glad that I'm able to actually reach the bolt. However, I could actually ruin any plastic components that's going to be near it, which will be the turbo actuator. So I'm heating like part of the turbo. Maybe this actually will cause the bolt to release. I'm not heating the bolt itself. Yeah, every time guys, you try to remove something, something's going to be stuck, which is just too bad. Guys, that bolt just does not want to come out, so I'm going to be using this type of tool here. This is specifically designed for removing strip bolts. That bolt is currently not stripped, but as you could see, this is for 7/16 through 11 millimeter. So before I even strip it, I'm gonna go ahead and use this. There's a good chance that that bolt will just break inside. Really don't know like what to expect, but obviously it's in such a tight spot that it's just going to be really difficult to do anything else. Doesn't feel like I'm getting a really good grip on it. This is for some reason not working for that one, so I'm gonna pull out a smaller one. This is a 3/8 connector, so let's see if I could use this. So let's give it another try. Everything seems like it's just in the way. This bolt is not stripped enough to even use this 3/8 socket. But for some reason it appears to be not a good grip for this thing. It's just not gripping it at all. Yeah, it's real strange because it doesn't seem like it's even stripped. This is the same bolt that I'm actually trying to pull out, guys, and you could see that it does go inside just fine, and you know, it works for that. But for this one, it does not. Okay guys, this is not a standard practice, but I'm getting ready to just use a serpentine saw or a sawzall, whatever you call it, to try to remove this bolt, which is really stuck. Well, I am cutting it. It's a really slow process. Ugh. This stuff. So I'm gonna try to put some WD-40. Well, I got some on the blade, so let's see. Well, we're halfway through it. So anyways guys, I have just pulled out the turbo actuator. This is the one that I have pulled out. This is my replacement turbo actuator. So guys, this is the actual turbo actuator from my vehicle, and obviously you can see this little leg does not work. C-clamp is off. Here's another one that I've been testing as well. It works, but this one doesn't. So it's kind of strange. One of my viewers tried to help me out in figuring out this turbo actuator, and said that these turbo legs, the actuator legs that adjust the turbo, are designed specifically for that turbo, and they need to be calibrated. From the looks of these two, they look to be identical, like the same type of length and bend and everything. So it could be that the viewer is right, but in my case, this is exactly the same. But if I was the one that was designing these turbo actuators and turbos and stuff, I would not make many different kinds to try to adjust them and tune them a certain way for the legs, because this is just a leg to begin with, and it's a lot easier to make a lot of them if they're exactly the same. I see like no reason for them to make it any different. However, they can maybe adjust them on the electronical side internally with the computer software. And this is probably why it's causing this little weird type of stuff that, you know, all the stuff that I have to do, you know, with the turbo actuator. And I also could be getting thrown off big time because my turbo could be bad. You know, it's a possibility. So, you know, but I guess we're gonna know for sure once I plug in this turbo actuator. If it does work, great. You know, I'm gonna be happy with it, and then, well, I really don't want to install that other turbo actuator. I was gonna say I could test that one as well. I mean, it was already on this vehicle. It did not want to function, so it's not really necessary anymore. I just want to get this one fixed. Guys, this is rusted on so much that I already had it sitting over here for like several hours, soaked in WD-40. That did not work, so I got some basically PB blaster on there, and I already like several times, and it's still not working. I've been trying to move it, wiggle it, lightly tap it with like a screwdriver and stuff. Nothing is working. I mean, this portion is just made just like this. I mean, how could it be so rusted and not wanting to really get out like this? And I really don't want to use heat because this is plastics and stuff like right on it. So I'm thinking, man, if stuff rusts on that does not have any type of grooves and stuff, like, and they cannot be separated by PB blaster, then how could it help with stuck bolts? That's what I don't understand. But I don't know, I might just have to pour like a little container over this stuff and just like dunk it in there somehow and just kind of like let it soak. But I really don't want to break anything. Guys, I just literally used the whole can of WD-40 and made a little bath over here for this turbo actuator. I think it almost fits. I may have to customize it a little bit to make it slide in there by cutting the can a little bit. I've used another yogurt container and basically cut it down a little bit so I could make it a little bit flatter, and now I'll have to pour the bath inside. Hopefully this will work. Does seem like I poured it up max to where it's almost like leaking out, but it's not sitting far enough. Like it needs to sit far enough. Okay, it is now. So, but it's also leaking out. Anyways, guys, I was able to remove this rusted leg right here. It completely was rusted on to the turbo actuator. This little solution has helped, so it looks like I'm gonna save it for later uses. So now it's finally time to install the turbo actuator. And so anyways, guys, the turbo actuator is installed. Let's start it up and try to see how the original turbo actuator is going to behave. And I'm really hoping that it's going to fix the solution, so let's check it out. So here we go, guys. It is on. Okay, I could hear the sound. You could hear that little sound like the turbo spinning, like it's almost like it's the same sound that it used to have. So let me see how it will accelerate now with everything plugged in properly. Okay, good enough. Let's try to test drive it. Okay, here we go, guys. We go to the right this time. Last time when I used to drive this way, by the time I reached the gas station, it would throw me into limp mode. So there's the gas station up ahead, and it accelerates just fine. So I'm just not gonna try to accelerate anymore. I'm just gonna drive it easy. So let's see. So it seems like it's still accelerating very good. Man, look at this, guys. I know what some of you guys are saying. Man, I would like to have a Sprinter that accelerates that fast. That turbo? What are you talking about? You know, I know the actual turbo spins pretty nicely. It's just the wastegate inside it really flappy. I don't know how it's working. So it's possibly still not that good, but it's not really affecting much. So whatever it's doing, it's not enough to cause no performance. But this still does not prove the actual fact. Will it actually still go into limp mode? And to find that out, I'm gonna have to take it on a longer drive. So I'm gonna try to make a little U-turn down here and try to accelerate it again. Okay, I have made this little U-turn. Now I'm gonna drive it home and see if this will go into limp mode by now, and I want to actually observe, see if I have any smoke. So here we go. good enough. It definitely proves the point that the acceleration. So guys, very exciting, very exciting. I know that don't really look really exciting because well, excited because I really did not expect anything this good of a news, because my hopes was really not up for this, guys. I didn't think I could just replace the turbo actuator and fix my problem. Whether it's fixed or not, that is still up for debate. And here's what I'm gonna do, guys. I'm gonna come home, I'm gonna grab my family, we're gonna go about 10 miles. I'm gonna try to upload a video. I won't finish editing this video up until I get there, because I want to test it on the way over there. So if it's still going to be working good by the time I drive 10 miles in really normal conditions, not be trying to accelerate it really hard, then guys, I'm going to consider this a win, and really fortunate win. As for the actuator working from another van, I still don't know, because when I installed it here, guys, as you seen it in the last video, it did not really perform. It didn't really seem like it was gonna do anything. So I don't know what's going on with that thing, guys, to be honest. You've seen all the tests I did. You be the judge of it. Would it actually work? I don't know. But I'm just glad that this one's working. Seriously, you know. But anyways, guys, I gotta put up all my tools and go ahead and get ready for that. So guys, we are ready for the final test. I'm gonna go ahead and drive about 10 miles and see if it's going to trigger a limp mode, because that is the most important factor, the limp mode. Because as you guys seen in the very first video when I started messing with the turbo and cut off my exhaust pipe, it was like so fast and it did some really cool stuff. But now I was still running into a problem where it was triggering the limp mode. So now that I have replaced it with original actuator, because the rusted leg was stuck, of course, as you guys have seen, I unstuck it, I installed it, so everything is good now. So anyways, guys, hey guys, I have driven 8 miles down to a place to eat here, and it did not trigger a limp mode, guys. It is driving completely fine. It's completely strong, man. It makes me feel like this is a performance sprinter somehow. However, I do feel like that the vanes that's inside of the turbo that I keep calling the wastegate, I guess it's technically the same thing, except it's just a little different design. Basically, I think they're rubbing a little bit, because that little lever was kind of loose, so possibly they're a little bit damaged, but it's not affecting performance whatsoever. So if it's not doing that and not triggering a limp mode, I'm not going to worry about that. So I guess other tests will tell, and I'm gonna drive it just a little bit more right now. Vehicle's off, and I'll tell you guys by the end of this video if it triggered a limp mode. So anyways, guys, I drove 10 miles. It's completely fine. It's not doing a limp mode. If it's going to still throw a limp mode on the way home, I'll let you guys know this in a later video. If I don't, then that means it's fine, you know, it's working again. And I'm kind of thinking, look, is it really over? Is it finally done, me having all these issues, guys? Let me just repeat like everything that I had to go through with the Sprinter. Since the time I purchased it, I paid $5,000 for the Sprinter, and I was told, oh, it's good, everything's fine, and I got it from a friend. As far as the engine goes, it was kind of fine, but the rear differential was locked up. So as it would drive, it would make this like really kind of like high, like not a, I can't really say it's a high-pitched noise, but it was really this grumbly noise the whole time, like it just would be there. So I asked him, I said, what's this noise? He said, oh, I've been having this noise the whole time, and it's fine. I actually had my rear differential rebuilt. Okay, it's rebuilt, it's rebuilt. So then I wasn't so sure, you know, so I used to live in apartments at that time, and I jacked it up and I checked the wheel rotation, and I could definitely tell it's locked up. It would not rotate, because usually if you lift up one wheel, and if it's a neutral, you should be able to twist it and the wheel's going to be churning. Well, it wasn't churning, guys, and it does on my other vans, because I do test them, but at the time I only had 2 vans, and I tested this again when I actually moved to my house. And then, guys, when the Sprinter was waiting for me to actually do this work to it, I ended up having to replace the rear differential. Once I replaced that, it was the drive shaft. Once I replaced the drive shaft, you know, the Sprinter would not start because the engine was kind of like locked up from all the sitting. So once I poured all the transmission fluid and all the oil inside of the engine, I got it unstuck. Then once I got it unstuck, I realized that the alternator was locked up. I removed the alternator, had stuck bolts. I had to basically do some cutting and, you know, stuff like that. I've replaced the alternator, replaced the belt, replaced some pulleys. Then, you know, like I thought it's fine. I started driving it. I got EGR codes. It would not pull. I replaced the EGR, so that fixed it. Then I started getting a turbo under boost condition. I wasn't really sure what it was because I would get it really rarely. Then, of course, my muffler fell off. You know, the actual tube. I cut off the muffler just in a recent video. Then I started working on this issue with a turbo. And again, trying to remove the turbo, I actually tried. The bolts are rusted. I'm glad I don't have to remove it this time. Hopefully it's gonna last to where I don't have to do this for a while. Of course, trying to remove the turbo actuator, 2 bolts came out just fine. One of them was completely stuck. I had to cut it off completely to remove the turbo actuator. And now it's only being held down by 2 bolts. And then another thing, guys, moving on, the electrical, where the steering wheel is, you know, where you turn the lights. When I was making a right turn, it would actually turn off my lights. When I would make a left turn, it's fine. It doesn't turn them off. If I would put high beams, it would not also turn them off. So I had to replace the thing, you know, for, you know, switching, you know, turn signals and stuff. That whole little assembly. Once I replaced that, I had to also replace the brake lines, because the brake lines just recently I discovered they were leaking. So I replaced the brake lines, I replaced the brakes, I replaced the brake calipers because they were locked up, both of them, guys. And you know, the portion that's locked up, it's not the actual caliper, it's the actual bolt that you remove to drain the fluid. Basically both, left and the right side was locked up. I sprayed all kinds of stuff, I heated them up and stuff like that. They would not come out. You know, so I ended up basically breaking them off. So now I have to drill them off. So good thing I have all the spare sprinters. I went ahead and I pulled off the brake lines from that, you know, the rotors, the brakes, everything from a used Sprinter, guys. Also, another thing I had to replace in the Sprinter, I had a bad ABS sensor. It was completely broken because it rusted off, it was stuck, and it was completely messed up. So I had to replace it, and, you know, and put a new ABS sensor in here. Man, what else? And then the body was like so messed up. I had doors completely like rusted out. I had to do all this bondo and fix all that stuff. And once I fixed all the bondo and painted the Sprinter, you know, getting rid of all the rust, I replaced the front grille. I replaced the rear taillights to make it look even nicer. And I also replaced the front seat because that seat was falling apart. Like literally, like that top piece was just falling apart. Could I name anything else that was like wrong? And one thing I know right now, the HVAC controls, I cannot rotate it to, you know, put it like to blow on you or blow on the window. It's stuck at one position, so I'll have to fix that probably next. But right now it's not bothersome. I just want to be able to just get out there and, you know, do some loads and stuff like that, or at least have Sprinter ready for that kind of stuff. As for me leaving this winter, I really don't know. It seems like I'm actually doing okay. It's already towards the end of January. I was able to pay my bills and stuff, and I still got money left over, so that's good. Of course, I'm not feeling rich right now, so donations are welcome. But technically, the next thing that's coming now, tomorrow, I gotta start doing the siding at my house. So I have the siding, is just there, it's waiting on me, but I have all these other things going on. And of course, Saturday I have to go to a builder's auction, and I don't have that much money, but I'm gonna try to spend a little bit of money. And then if I run out of money, I may have to leave to work sooner than expected. So we'll see about that. But anyways, guys, there's a lot on my plate. There's always stuff going on, and I would just like to remind you viewers that I'm never going to be giving up on my Sprinters. I'm always going to be fixing them. This is something you could always expect from my channel. Along with that, you could always expect motivational stuff, because I want to motivate you guys to fix your own stuff, do your own stuff, and get to the next level in your life, whatever that may be. As I'm trying to go through my life, I'm being motivated as well, whether it's books, whether it's other people or friends, you know, to try to go forward. I try to not to listen to any negativity. This is why you're not gonna find negativity on my channel, guys. I completely just make those comments like not even visible, and I don't care that those people even left those comments. I don't even remember the name. So if they're gonna come back with a different username and try to comment again, they could do so. I'm not gonna know the difference. I don't hate. I really don't care to do so. It's a complete waste of time. I'm trying to just move forward in my life and just keep going. There's gonna be obstacles, just try to go through them and just keep going, guys. But anyways, this video has came to an end. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless you, and good luck with your Sprinter. And like always, if you have any issues or any problems, please let me know so I could help you guys. Take care, and God bless you.